the community was saying. And here I'm referring to Israel's harshest critics. Why? Well, Amnesty International put out a report right after the Israeli assault in Gaza. It was called Fueling Conflict. And Amnesty said, under international law, and also under domestic American law, it's illegal to transfer weapons to a party which is a consistent violator of human rights. So Amnesty said, yes, it's true. It's illegal to transfer weapons to Hamas because Hamas is a consistent violator of human rights. But Amnesty said, it's also illegal to transfer weapons to Israel because Israel is a consistent violator of human rights. So to the extent that the international community, and here I'm referring to Israel's harshest critics, to the extent that they said it's right to prevent weapons from getting to Gaza, but didn't also say it's right to prevent weapons from reaching Israel, they're being completely hypocritical. Not by my standard, and not even by Amnesty standard, but by the standard, the current standard of international law. Well, as most of you know, at 4:26 a.m. on May 31st, Israel attacked the flagship of the Freedom Flotilla, the ship called the Marmara. And in truth, you'll probably never know what happened during those fateful hours because Israel seized all of the photographic and video evidence from the passengers aboard the ship and just released the snippets that seem to support their version of what happened. But in large part, it's not important the exact details on what happened in the Marmara, because the fundamental issues are not open to serious dispute. Number one, the people of Gaza were suffering a humanitarian crisis. Number two, the crisis was the result of the blockade Israel was imposing. Number three, Israel was intentionally imposing a blockade causing the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which means, number four, Israel was engaged in collective punishment, which means, number five, under international law, collective punishment is illegal, which means, number six, Israel had no right to use armed force to enforce an illegal blockade. Full stop. There's no dispute about those propositions. And everything else really is just commentary. But there has been a lot of commentary about what did happen on the Marmara, the exact sequence of events of what happened. The international community said it was a form of collective punishment, it was illegal. There was a report put out by the Human Rights Commission. Several distinguished jurists investigated what happened, and the Israelis, they published their side. It was a couple of months ago now. The Israelis published their report on what happened. It was a commission headed by a former Supreme Court judge, Mr. Turco, and they produced a voluminous report, ran to about 250 pages. Probably the footnotes ran up to about 1,000 footnotes. It was very scholarly, very erudite. They said, the Turco Commission said, it's not true the blockade was illegal. The Human Rights Commission is wrong. It wasn't illegal, they said, first of all, because the people weren't starving. So, it's not a humanitarian crisis. And number two, they said, you have to remember, in war, lot of people get killed by accident. We call it collateral damage. We didn't intend to kill them, but they got killed in the midst of the military combat. And so Israel said, yes, it's true. The blockade has caused suffering in Gaza. It's true. But they said it was not intentional. It was collateral damage. We imposed the blockade, Israel said, not to hurt the people of Gaza. We imposed the blockade in order to prevent weapons from reaching Gaza, not to hurt people. And if people got hurt, well, that's collateral damage. That's war. And that was completely credible. That was very believable. So as everybody in the room, or some of you will know, as part of the blockade, Israel prevented chocolate from entering Gaza. It prevented potato chips from entering Gaza. It prevented baby chicks from entering Gaza. Now, who here would deny the lethal potential of chips and chicks? It was interesting, incidentally, the Turco report, as I said, ran to 250 pages, very detailed, the most arcane subjects of international law. They never once listed what Israel was preventing from entering Gaza. And I would say that was a very prudent move on their part. So what happened during those fateful hours from 4:26 a.m. until dawn? The Human Rights Commission, it found that in the initial Israeli assault on the Mavi Marmara, they used stun grenades, tear gas, and maybe plastic bullets. When they were repelled by the passengers on the boat, they came in about 5 minutes later with helicopters, and according to the Human Rights Commission, they were using live ammunition before any Israeli commando hit the deck of the Mavi Marmara. By the end of the Israeli assault, 9 passengers were dead. 5 of them were shot in the head. That, by the way, is confirmed by Israel. 6 of them, 5 of them were shot in the head. All of them except 1 suffered multiple bullet shots. 6 of the 9, according to the UN Commission, were victims of summary, arbitrary, and extrajudicial executions, which is to say 6 of the 9 were just murdered in cold blood. The Turco Commission said it's not true. That's just not true.